hope you can see my screen as well as hear me out. This is Darpan here, and thanks Veda for the crisp introduction. Shall we start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, so in today's presentation, my aim is to kind of walk you through, I know that operational excellence is something that has been talked about for decades, but what exactly is the meaning of operational excellence is what I'm attempting to cover as part of the first part of this particular presentation today. Post which, in the middle, what I'm trying to address is, why exactly are we all talking about operational excellence? Why does it really matter to us? And once we have an understanding of that, at the end is where I would try to make an attempt of linking as to how MES or MOM, that's the Manufacturing Operations Management, can help us achieve the objectives that we lay for ourselves, our organization, when we talk of an operational excellence journey. Right? So I'm sure almost everyone out here on this call must have heard about Charles Darwin talking about it's not the best of the species that survive, but it's the adaptive of the species that survive. Right? And this is what I recently came across when I was reading through some of the articles, and I found it pretty interesting and a tweaked version of what we all hear from Charles Darwin. So it talks about in the time of change, the future belongs to the learner, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world which no longer exists. And no better than today is the time to kind of really understand what this means, right? I mean, we all have been at least hearing about, if not really witnessed, the different phases of industrial revolution that we are part of. And over the last maybe 5-6 decades, today we are at a stage where the entire world is talking about industrial revolution phase 4, and the way in which it is kind of represented or propagated is called the industrial 4.0. I'm sure a lot of you must have heard of it as well. Right, so with that, I'll just jump directly into what I was talking about. So let's take a moment to understand what really is operational excellence, right? And I've been meeting, in my role, I've been meeting a lot of customers, not just in India, but different parts of the globe, including the Asia Pacific. So although today I focus more on the developing part of the world, or that part of the globe where a lot of people are envying, especially when we talk of it in terms of India, China being part of Asia Pacific, right? So with that, I've been talking to a lot of people across the globe, and every time that I go and I ask them about what is your definition of operational excellence, right? What I get to hear most often is, things like, we want to be the best in the industry, we want to be world class, achieving operational profitability, achieving excellence in whatever we do so that we get competitive advantage. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, there is, even though this particular term has been around for at least a decade, if not more, even today there is no real robust definition. Per se, if you go by the books, there is no real concrete definition of the term operational excellence. But there are ways and means in which a lot of us understand it, and we have our own perspective of what really operational excellence is. A lot of this perspective perhaps is driven by the goal the organizations that each one of us work have put for us in perspective. Right? So I did look at the top 3, I would say, websites when it comes to finding out what the real definition is. But even there, right, it's kind of, each one of them has their own way in which they define operational excellence. But while I was attempting to do this, what really comes across as a common theme in all the definitions, or from whatever I hear from our customers, is the essence of 2-3 different things. The first thing is, to remain competitive, we really need to know what really is going across our organization, across our value chain, right? And no one better than us out here today would be able to understand and appreciate the real value that we can get from getting real-time visibility, right? So unless we really know if there is something that's going wrong in the value chain, unless we really know what exactly is going wrong and where is it going wrong, it is very difficult for us to take the right informed decision. A lot of us tend to take decisions based on our past experience, which may kind of really be the solution to what and where is going wrong, or perhaps it might be one another learning experience that while we go through that particular process. So the point I want to emphasize here is real-time visibility across the value chain to enable informed decision is the key essence of operational excellence. Whatever may be the definition that the organization or we as an individual understand about it, this is the key essence in all the, which would probably cover up all the perspective when we talk of operational excellence. So with that as a background, let's look at typically how an enterprise works today. Right, so to begin with, what I'm doing is I have taken an example of, let's say, a claims processing an organization who is not really into manufacturing, but into a similar complex process, and that's where I came across this particular example of a claims processing company. Right, so here, as we can see, there are a lot of individuals in the form of their roles or responsibilities within the organization. Now that could be within the organization itself, or it could be kind of outsourced to a particular partner, or it could be more like a managed service that we have opted out for. But so that's the key. I would say one of the key components of the overall organization structure that it would come across. That's what I've tried to represent at the top of this slide. In the bottom of this slide is where we come across the different systems or the technologies which might ultimately be used to move our papers. Right, so at the leftmost side of the screen is where I have, let's say I have a claim that I have to make. From there, for that paper to reach the extreme right hand side is where I kind of get my claim effectively settled. Right, so this is how probably the process would look like. Now, if I really try to look at it from a different perspective, right, in terms of what would be the key elements or the key components that comprise this entire process within the enterprise, it ultimately comprises of people, processes, and systems or technology. Right, and while I was doing this, right, I kind of keep hearing a lot, as has been mentioned by Takeda as well, that if the process is right, the results will take care of themselves. While this might be true for a lot of the companies where really process is the bottleneck, right? Is this really true when we come across what we experience in our day-to-day life when we are associating with, let's say, a manufacturing enterprise? Unfortunately not, right? And that's the reason most often I kind of, whenever I interact with my customer or visit their particular plant, this is exactly what I see out there, right? So in this particular slide, what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to put together in a pictorial representation what I hear or see at a lot of the manufacturing organizations. So out here I've taken an example of, let's say, a discrete industry which is more into, let's say, an automotive manufacturing company, right? So these would perhaps be the immediate touch points of that particular company. And now over a period of time, what really happens is, depending upon the need within a particular let's say a business unit of that particular organization, or a particular process area within the manufacturing plant, over a period of time to address those requirements which are perceived to be the hurdles, we kind of come across to a situation where what we see is, let's say today I'm focusing on efficiency, so I would probably build up a system. Could be a a custom homegrown thing, or it could be something that is available off the shelf outside in the market. But perhaps today my aim is just to take care of, let's say, the overall operational efficiencies. So that's one of the piece, or one of the piece in the overall landscape that would be built up there. But because of this, what really happens is, over a period of time, we end up into a situation where we see a lot of these kind of point solutions that keep cropping across the manufacturing enterprise. Ultimately, it kind of leads to a scenario where, although we do have these silos of information, what we really end up doing is, you would see typically this particular piece of paper that gets traveled along with anything that we are trying to build. In this particular case is an automotive, or let's say a car manufacturer, right? So in this case, right from the start of the production till the time the car is actually rolled out and is made available to the dealer from where it goes to the actual user, we actually see a piece of paper that kind of keeps moving along with the job in the manufacturing process. And somewhere in the overall organization, it could be as close to the job as your operator, or it could be at the end of the line where perhaps you have some data entry guys, or it could be something which is consolidated probably down the line. Ultimately, what really happens is, this piece of paper gets translated into a system by some data entry operator, which is prone to a lot of human errors, right? What is the goal? The goal is ultimately to generate reports out of it so that we are able to analyze. In this case, it's more like a post-analysis, right? Because of the delay that would be associated. So it's primarily more for, how did we do in the previous shift, or how did we do yesterday, or what was the trend, the way we have been doing or performing over the last maybe a week, a month, a quarter, or whatever is the timelines that each individual defines, or each organization defines for themselves. But ultimately, once this particular process is completed, what we really do again is end up having maybe Excel sheets that is what is frequently used for generation, right? And what we end up doing is have I'm sure a lot of you guys must be familiar about it, right? Because the picture that I've tried to show here in terms of how these reports are made available to the end users is very familiar, at least to me, when I walk down the manufacturing process of a lot of our customers during the initial phase, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. So here, if we really look at it, right, in a typical manufacturing enterprise, we do have people, we do have technology, we do have processes which are defined. But are we able to achieve the operational excellence? Not really, right? So what is it that is missing in this particular case? From my experience, what I would try to put across is, if it's the integration between the people, process, and the systems, and if that is right, then the results will perhaps take care of themselves, right? So it's again going back to what we kind of defined in the initial slide about what is operational excellence. And here we are trying to say that, the three key components, while it continues to remain the people, process, and the systems, or the people, process, and technology, the key here is integration, which is what is really required to kind of achieve that real-time visibility for us to take the informed decision. Right now, what I did is, out of curiosity, I did browse through a lot of research articles, because so far what I did share with all of us out here is based on what we have been hearing from our customers, or we have been seeing with our customers. But just to validate that, so that we don't miss out on the larger cross-section of the industry, I just picked up one of the latest reports which has been put up by LNR Research. By the way, this is a publicly available report, so you guys can just go to the Google and get a copy of it. And what we see here is, in terms of the strategic objectives which are defined by the participants, if we look at the top three of it, for the sake of, or in the interest of time, right? It talks about ensuring consistent quality of the products, responsiveness to the customer's order demand, and increasing the production capacity and capability. So primarily it talks about what we are really seeing as the trends or the drivers in the industry, right? It's about producing quality products which is in an agile way, so that we are able to be responsive to whatever our customers want and hence what would be sold in the market. And at the same time, we want to increase our capacity and capability, both in terms of the pace at which we introduce new products to the market, as well as the efficiency at which we manufacture those products, so that ultimately we are able to remain profitable. That's the whole purpose of being in business, right? But with this top strategic objectives been defined, what really are the challenges that the participants saw towards achieving those objectives? And again, if we look at the top three, which comprises almost 3/4 of the results: lack of collaboration across different departments, disparate systems and data sources, and ROI justification for improvement investments, right? So if we look at the top two, is exactly what really matches with what we have been seeing, or at least I have been seeing when I kind of talk to different customers and look at their particular manufacturing organizations. So again, if we kind of look back from, it's kind of adding the larger cross section of the industry to the experience that I have so far. It again boils down to real-time collaboration between the different departments across the enterprise as the key to achieving operational excellence, right? So let's take a functional view of an organization. Why are we stressing on these two particular important aspects of real-time and integration, right, or collaboration, as we kind of tend to put it across? So here I'm attempting to look at the same manufacturing enterprise more from a functional model perspective. And what I see out here is, more often than not, the organizations are kind of siloed in the way they operate, in the way they operate, right? And you would have probably a team who takes care of the IT or the information technology, and then you have a core team who takes care of the operations technology. So just to put things in perspective, operational technology is more to do with anything and everything that we see or we do on the shop floor, right? So it could be PLCs, it could be your robots, it could be your CNCs, anything that is really required to manufacture the product that the company is into, right? Whereas IT is got more to do with ensuring that whatever gets manufactured is in lines with whatever is required by the customer, so that the organization will ultimately be able to sell it, right? So from that perspective, IT would be most likely responsible for dealing with, let's say, the ERPs, the CRMs, the the supplier relationship portals and all those stuff, right? But then today, if we really look at it, the way in which we can perhaps remain competitive or achieve what the organization defines as our operational excellence journey is by using the latest in technology which more often would be known to the IT guys, to kind of percolate down to the shop floor, so that we are able to benefit. And in the process, what we achieve is a seamless flow of information across the enterprise. Now at Rockwell Automation, our attempt to kind of bridge this particular disconnect is what we call as connected enterprise. Right? So let's take a moment to understand what really connected enterprise is all about. So the connected enterprise is a means for achieving optimized, rapid value creation, and using the the latest buzzword that we all hear about is called IoT, or the Internet of Things. Right? What really is this all about? So if we really look at any typical manufacturing process, right, we would see that you would have, even from a supply chain perspective, right? So what you would have is, probably you would have your suppliers. Now it could be a direct supplier, or it could be a supplier to your supplier, and then from there it comes into your manufacturing process. Once you have a particular end product which is manufactured, probably it goes out to your distribution center, or it goes out to maybe the people in the intermediate people in the value chain, who would ultimately enable it or make it available to the end user. Right? Here what we see is, because of the trends that we all keep hearing about or keep seeing about in the news a lot of times today, is, let's say, things like Internet of Things. So what really exactly does this cover up? It kind of touches upon a combination of cloud, big data, social, as in, you know, how people would kind of interact. So a lot of times I've been reading that, you know, these days the maturity levels, because of the easy availability of information, has increased to a level where, let's say, a lot of the end users who would be in need of a particular system might actually do their homework before they start talking to the probable vendors who might be able to provide them those solutions. So that's the ease at which all of these information is available to us. But how do we actually bring this down to the shop floor so that the real information which is required across the value chain is exposed such securely that it is easily available to people who should have it at the right time, at the right place? That's all the essence of the connected enterprise, right? So in a nutshell, what we are talking of is leveraging the latest in the form of IoT to connect people, process, and technology to achieve operational excellence, right? So why am I kind of repeatedly talking about these three things? I think, as we saw in the previous slide, right, these three are the basic building blocks of any successful enterprise. Now, what are the trends, or what are the things that are you know, really bringing these things to surface? So if I take it one at a time, right, let's look at it from a people perspective. What we are seeing is today there is a need for collaboration, as we again saw and was emphasized by the LNS research report as well. You know, organizational collaboration becomes increasingly important to break down the silos between the departments. I don't think anybody out here would have any queries or any doubts on this particular piece of it. But at the same time, two important trends that you know, we probably are not seeing it directly today, but is going to come and hit us very soon, is about the aging workforce. So there are a lot of studies which are going on, which talks about, you know, the experience and the knowledge levels going down significantly over the next 5 years, primarily because of a lot of these are, you know, available today with the matured workforce who are about to retire in the next 5 years. So with that thing, apart from skills building, one of the key things which will be really required to ensure that we are able to operate without risk or at minimal risk is how effectively we are able to make the knowledge transfer from these aging workforce to the people who are going to take up from them, right? So again, in the form of knowledge transfers, one of the critical things that are becoming really challenging today from a lot of customers is how do they make their operators aware about the latest technologies, which is evolving at a very fast pace as compared to how it has been over a period of time, right? So these are some of the critical things that come to our mind immediately when we look at it from a people perspective. Similarly, when we look at it from a process perspective, all of us have been talking about, let's say, a lean manufacturing, so that we are able to produce the things in the minimal of you know, effort, time, money. At the same time, produce it at a quality so that it is available to the customer within the definitions of the way, you know, within the definitions for it to be acceptable as a good product, which is what again drives us closer to Six Sigma, and then the quality initiatives to ensure consistency in that, right? And then these days, from a sustainability perspective, a lot of organizations are focusing on energy management, not just because of you know, the environmental things, but also because with each passing day, the cost of energy itself is you know, kind of on an upward trend, because of which it ultimately has a direct impact on our profitability. So these are perhaps few of the things that are at the back of our mind when we talk of processes. And as I said, from a technology perspective, you know, probably this particular space is evolving the fastest. So, you know, there were times when, let's say, although there has been a continuous evaluation of technology, what we really see is, let's say, in the, you know, last 3 years or probably the next 5 years, the pace at which the technology would evolve would be at a much higher rate as compared to the way it has evolved over the last 20 years, right? And that's pretty apparent because see, if we look at it in silos, right, in my perspective, mobility perhaps was there. There were ages or there were times when people were using, let's say, a pager or probably a mobile or a cell phone for getting text messages. Individually, if we look at it, there was also analytics which has always been there, right? Big data, perhaps yes, it has been there, not really called as big data, we might have called it with some different name, but it has always been existing. Cloud also to a certain extent has been there, because over a period of time, let's say when I have been deploying manufacturing operations management for a lot of my customers, there have been times where, or probably, ERP would be an ideal case. So initially, to begin with, let's say when a customer took up a particular project to implement an ERP across the organization, initially they would begin with having local siloed, kind of systems for each manufacturing facility. But over a period of time, what we have seen is all of them get consolidated to, let's say, a central instance of an ERP, which would most likely run from the corporate, and all the plants remotely connecting to this. So if we try to extend the what really gets offered today in the form of cloud, perhaps it was there more like a private cloud running out of your corporate data center. But then today, with the enhancements of technology, perhaps this is enabling us to get connected remotely to fields, let's say in an oil and gas industry, or for that matter, when we talk of energy, let's say you have windmills which are kind of erected at a lot of remote places, right? So today, because of the way the technology has evolved, we are able to connect those to those remote assets and kind of monitor their health and a lot of other stuff at a much more convenient way, probably from the desk in my office, right? But then what has really brought this accelerated pace in the evaluation of technology is all of these coming together, and this is the time where we are actually seeing an inflection point. So by inflection point, what I really mean is all of these technologies are getting converted today, and that's where the real power of technology is lying ahead of us. So it's about trying to understand what it can do for us, and then trying to start our journey in terms of slowly but surely embracing this technology so that we are able to remain competitive and create that particular difference for our organizations in the industrial landscape today. All right? So this is what I meant when I talk of, let's say, operational excellence. So just to summarize out here, right, what we are coming to is, operational excellence might be, as we saw in the initial slides, right? Operational excellence is something that for sure would be different for each organization, right? So here the key essence remains real-time collaboration across the manufacturing or across the enterprise or across the value chain in such a way that we are able to get real-time visibility into what is happening across the value chain so that we are able to take informed decisions. Now with this, what I would really encourage everyone on this particular call is to kind of go back, and if you are the ones who are responsible for outlining or defining what your destination of an operational excellence is, please do that, right? But once you have done that, what it really means is it's also critically important to have that effectively communicated down the line so that people down the line in the organization really understand what operational excellence is or what the organizational vision of an operational excellence is. Once that is known to each and everyone within the organization who matter, it's all about, kind of building your journey towards reaching that particular destination. And I can bet operational excellence journey for each and every one of us on this call is going to be different depending upon the goals that our organizations set for themselves. So there is nothing like a universal definition for operational excellence, nor is there something like a universal model for operational excellence that, if my organization adopts this particular model, probably we'll be able to reach success or we'll be able to meet the goals and objectives that the organization has defined for themselves. It's all about putting together a model that will work for us, right? Now in the subsequent slides, I'm making an attempt as to why should we all be bothered about operational excellence, right? So if we really look at one of the other reports that comes out from MESA, it's called the metrics that matters, right? What we really see is connected enterprise has actually helped deliver operational excellence to a lot of our customers. And in the just to kind of quantify the kind of benefits. So in the metrics that matter report, if we really look at it from MESA, what we really see is 90% of the the top performers have been able to achieve 90% of on-time new product introduction. Right now, if we really look at it from the entire participant perspective, right, what it really means is the top performers have been able to achieve NPIs which is 18% better as compared to the others, which really translates from a financial perspective to 16% increase in their annual financial improvements, which is roughly 2 times better than the number that worked out for the average people who participated in the same survey. So this is one of the key benefits that can be quantified as has been made available publicly in the metrics that matter reports. What it also kind of emphasizes is one of the key ways in which they were able to perhaps achieve this is by lowering the cycle times and the changeover times, which is what remains the key focus area when you go and talk to people on the shop floor. The other benefits that are also quantified in this particular survey is around quality, flexibility of operations, availability of information anytime, which is more contextualized, and protecting the assets. Right? So these are few of the benefits that have been outlined into an independent research by MESA as to what can be really achieved when you connect the people, process, and technology. From a matrix perspective, as I said, since each of us would have a different, the destination for us would be really different as to what the operational excellence means, and hence the journey that we decide or plan to reach that destination would be different. But across some of the key KPIs that are generally measured across the industry, these are the improvements that are again outlined in the LNS research. So this is the second research that I'm referring to again. So in the previous slide I referred data from MESA, and now I'm referring to data from LNS. The whole emphasis out here is these are all independent researches, and Rockwell or any particular individual has got absolutely nothing to do with whatever are the outcomes of these results. These are truly reflective of what the industry feel, think, and see in general, right? So these are two slides that I had on why we should all be concerned about operational excellence. Now that we have really understood what operational excellence is and why should we worry about it, let's look at it as to how do we achieve the goal of interaction between the people, process, and technology to provide you real-time visibility across the value chain. So all we are saying is we really need a glue, that would bring all of these together. Now, from our perspective, right, that glue happens to be information software, which in its form is actually a technology, right? So when we talk of information software, there are multiple terms that you would come across. You would hear about people talking about MES, which is manufacturing execution systems. You would also hear about people talking about MOM, or manufacturing operations management, or some other people talking about enterprise manufacturing intelligence, or EMI. Right now, there is a lot of debate and confusion when it comes to the terms MES and MOM. A lot of people feel that it is, probably two sides of the same coin and a whole bunch of those stuff, right? From whatever I understand, MES perhaps is more focused on the processes that are more to do with the production piece of it. Whereas if you look at it from the manufacturing operations management perspective, it talks about the larger processes within the organization ranging from production, quality, inventory, and maintenance. And if we really go back to where all of these evolved, you would really see that anything and everything that gets defined within a manufacturing organization can be easily clubbed to be either under the production, quality, inventory, or the maintenance basket. right? So just to kind of summarize, and there are a lot of further information which is available on whatever would be your preferred search sites or out there on the internet, right? But the whole idea of information software is it is a collection of one or more pieces of computer software working together with the devices and people to help solve a specific type of information management challenge. And this is where we really feel that this is the glue that is really required to stick together the people, processes and technology within an organization to achieve the operational excellence. So let's look at the manufacturing operations management a little more under the hood, right? So, and I'm sure what I'm showing here out is probably known to almost everyone who would be there on this particular WebEx. This is what I have really adapted from MESA and ISA, which are the two most well-known organizations, independent organizations, when it comes to the MES or the manufacturing operations management discussions or topics, right? So on the left-hand side of the slide is where we talk of generally how the functions within the organization or the hierarchies within the organization are defined right from level 0, which is where the production processes is. So this is from a IoT perspective, right? This is where perhaps you would have your sensors. Level 1 and level 2 is perhaps where you would have all your control systems, including your PLCs, HMIs, robots, CNCs, and or probably a DCS if it is a process industry. And then at the level 2 is where you have the HMIs or the SCADA system, probably historians. Level 3 is where you would have this particular glue in place, which is called the manufacturing operations management. And as I said, it kind of rotates more around the production, quality, inventory and maintenance functions within the organization. And at level 4 is where you have your business systems. So it could be your ERP, CRMs, SRMs, scheduling systems, shipping systems, warehouse management systems, and all of those stuff. And what I've tried to do here is I've tried to figure out the standards which have been defined by MESA, by ISA, in terms of how all of these levels should interact. So the emphasis out here is manufacturing operations management is a framework or is a platform which helps you, comply to all of these standards if you go for a cards-based system, right? Because most of the cards-based systems which are available in the market today would comply themselves to this particular model. It's called as ISA 95 in general, and then it kind of gets extended down to ISA 88 when it comes to the batch or the continuous process industries, right? And then on the right hand side of the slide is where I've tried to portray what I just said, right? In terms of almost every function that you would see within an enterprise can be clubbed either under the production, quality, inventory or maintenance. Of course, the functions that are really linked to manufacturing. There are other systems which would probably be more suitable at the business level, which like your SAP or any other ERP that you might have, which would take care of, let's say, the procurement or the order processing or the product shipments, marketing and sales and those kind of stuffs, right? What I'm talking here about is more limited to the manufacturing piece within your value chain, right? And then the other view of it is to kind of, between the production, quality, inventory and maintenance, what is it that is really required as an interaction between the manufacturing operations management as is represented by this particular bigger bubble out here at the bottom right hand side, as against the external systems in the IT landscape that might be there within the organization, right? So it's all about getting down the schedules from the higher up systems, and while you do that, it kind of it's about providing to those systems what are the capabilities in terms of probably at a let's say from a plant model perspective. I know that I have 2 lines, let's say, using which I can produce my model A, but then at this point in time, is my line A available, or are both my lines available for manufacturing product A, or is there a breakdown somewhere on one of my lines due to which I cannot manufacture a model A, is something that would be best known to your manufacturing operations management, and through these is made available to the external system, let's say a scheduling system, which would take that as an input and then help you plan whatever is really achievable, rather than just working on the theoretical plant model that might be available into that particular piece of software. And ultimately it kind of boils down to the MOM publishing whatever was the real thing that happened on the shop floor in terms of the performance, in terms of responses that go out from the shop floor to the business system to ultimately close loop the flow of information across the enterprise. Now, if I open it up one step further under the hood, this is what you would really see. So manufacturing operations management in a nutshell is composed of a 4x4 object model. So the first four category, the first four stands for category of resources. So the resources that are really required in the manufacturing process, which would be people, equipments, material, and the process segments. Now out here, if we really look at it, right, what we are seeing is, or what we saw in the past is, it's about bringing together the people, the process, and the technology. So the point that I want to emphasize on this particular slide is MOM is the technology which will help bind the people and the processes within the organization's manufacturing, right? And by doing this, what do you achieve is what would be the objective that would be attained is what is defined by the other four, which is more to do with your capability and capacity definition, product definition, production scheduling, and the performance. As we saw in the previous slide on the bottom right hand side, right? It's about this particular manufacturing processes interactions with systems around it in your manufacturing IT landscape, which is really required to enable real-time visibility into your manufacturing process. Right, so now again going back to MESA, what we really see is on the left hand side is the typical MESA model, which would be known to everyone. So all we are saying is, let's say that at the bottom of this particular picture is where you have your manufacturing or your production process. A lot of events get generated which have to be captured. Manufacturing operations management is the layer where it would all be captured, right, in real time. From there it kind of gets, I would say, it kind of gets converted in such a manner that the data that gets collected from the bottom is converted into meaningful information, which would then be available to the business users. It could be systems, or it could be individuals who are kind of really bothered about that particular data, so that they are able to make effective decisions across the value chain. And all of these is what is aligned to the strategic initiatives or the objectives that your enterprise defines towards achieving operational excellence, right? So this particular model, as I was mentioning, right, this particular model emphasizes on the fact that the objectives have to be defined at the higher up level, and from there it has to seamlessly flow down towards the bottom, so that everybody within the organization is aligned and clearly understands what the operational excellence journey of the enterprise is, and accordingly all the results kind of get pushed from the bottom to the top, is where we are able to close that particular loop. Now from a functional perspective, what we really see as part of manufacturing operations management is, so if, as I was mentioning, right, it's about production, quality, inventory, and maintenance. So now if we really boil down to the next level within each of these four bubbles, what you would see is primarily there are 8 functions or 8 bubbles which kind of bind everything that gets done onto the shop floor, which really matters for us to propagate both the objectives down the line as well as the results from the bottom to the top, right? And that's where, if you really look at it, right, so it's about, let's say, the schedule coming down in the form of a detail. So manufacturing operations management helps get down the detailed schedule from the higher up system, let's say a scheduling system. It could be something like an advanced planning and scheduling module that you use in your ERPs, or it could be a standalone scheduling system that you might be using. So from there it kind of integrates, it gets the schedule it kind of dispatches it to the shop floor at each of the starting points where it really matters in real time. So that you are able to execute that particular schedule, and while doing that, it helps you track whatever is the real time, probably your WIP or the parameters that matter. For doing that, the way it does that, it kind of integrates with the device level on the shop floor, and then it kind of gets the data as we talked about here, right? So all the events is what gets pushed from the shop floor to your system, and this particular module within the manufacturing operations management is responsible for collecting that data from the shop floor and then making it available to, let's say, a tracking module which will help you get real-time visibility on your screen. It could be a mobile terminal, it could be an operator terminal on the shop floor, or it could be in the form of reports which is available via some of the analytical tools that you might have, right? In the previous slide we talked about the enterprise manufacturing intelligence, or EMI being one of those tools. Right, so all of these kind of gel together and work in close coordination to help achieve the objectives which are set out by the manufacturing operations management. Just to be sure that whatever I'm talking makes sense, I kind of picked this up again from LNS, which kind of talks about what are the functions or what are the key initiatives that the companies are driving to kind of achieve when they talk about a manufacturing operations journey. So people are talking of quality, people are talking of planning, scheduling and dispatching, people are talking of MES, document management. So all of these are some of the other functions which are kind of generally known to the users, right? So out here it's kind of more from a user perspective, terms that the users understand, whereas in the previous slide it was more about a functional thing, right? What do you really mean by data collection? What do you really mean by tracking? Do you need a detailed scheduling module and things like this? This is the functional view of manufacturing operations management. This is more of the user view in terms of terminologies that the user really understand without really knowing what manufacturing operations management is all about. Right now, why do we feel, or why am I saying that manufacturing operations management is best geared to kind of address these particular challenge of real-time integration between people, process and technology? One of the reasons is can be really seen as how ARC it's kind of tried to map the entire business landscape within organization. So primarily what it says is any business comprises of three major axes, right? On the y-axis is where you have the enterprise domain, so let's say systems right from the shop floor to the top floor. On the x-axis is where you have the value chain domain, which is cutting right from your supplier to your customers, and on the z-axis is where you have your product lifecycle domain, right from your design to your support, right? And as can be seen, manufacturing operations management exactly lies at the intersection of all these three axes, right? So this is that piece of glue which kind of binds all these three domains within the business together, because of which it is best suited to be that glue which would kind of connect your people, process and technology. And not surprisingly, again, if I go back to the same LNS research, this is what people, these are some of, it's kind of a snapshot of some of the initiatives that people have set for themselves within an organization in terms of, their means or in terms of their journey to achieve the operational excellence that has been outlined by the organization. So if we really look at it, right, from a people perspective, what we are saying is the organizations have established the following capabilities or are planning to establish within a year. And what is the goal that they want to achieve when they talk of setting this particular journey, right? It's like 50% have implemented or are implementing cross-functional groups to support their operational excellence journey within a year. And this is where, people who have really defined what their destination of operational excellence is, they have defined what their journey would look like, and then they have probably done a self-assessment of where they are today as compared to where they want to be, and post that they have identified across these three I would say critical components of the journey what would be the objectives with respect to people, what would be the objectives with respect to processes, and what would be the objective with respect to technology, which will help them move up the ladder to ultimately reach the as-defined goal or destination of their operational excellence journey. So how do they do that, right? So these are perhaps some of the basic building blocks that will help you chart out your own journey when you define what your operational excellence destination would be. Now, as I said previously, right, since I do not expect every one of us to have the same definition of operational excellence, and hence every one of us to have the same destination of our operational excellence journey, the road to achieve or the road to reach that destination would also be different. And hence I personally feel that there is no maturity model that would be universally applicable. And that's where I've come to kind of share few of the basic building blocks which could be a guide for us to put together the journey or the maturity model that we want to define for ourselves, right? So on the left hand side, perhaps level 1 is at the bottommost, probably it could be an as is, and level 5 is at the top where it's probably being or achieving your destination. Now all I'm saying is, your as-is may not be really at level 1 today. Based on your own internal evaluation, you might probably at a level 3 or a level 4 or perhaps at a level 5 if you are a matured organization. But the whole point is about probably breaking down the journey to your destination into pieces which would be easily achievable, so that you are able to gauge for yourself whether you are whether you are on the right track. If not, probably take a course correction. If yes, then quickly achieve those smaller successes that you define, publish the results, which really ends up being a big motivator, because one of the key things out here, apart from people, process and technology, is about change management, right? And that's one of the things that is the critical essence, and one of the biggest motivator is to kind of keep appreciating all the three components, right? So the lively component out here is the people piece of it. So real-time appreciation to people, making your journey visible to the people, making the milestones visible to the people, and then celebrating once you achieve those smaller milestones is what will help you accelerate on your journey to achieving the operational excellence, right? And once you have kind of outlined what those maturity model would look like, it is important that you kind of set that out individually for each of the three building blocks, which is people, process, and technology. And you would most often be surprised to know that a lot of organizations with whom I have worked have figured out that they are at different levels of maturity as is when it comes to defining their as a state for people, for process, and for technology. But the key I would say, the key aim is to kind of do a genuine analysis of your current as-is, and then build up your journey in such a way that over a period of time, whatever time frame your organization again defines for themselves, you are able to reach that particular journey, and in the process you are able to gel these three things together. Now, as a proof point, what I decided to do is, while I had a lot of examples with me from real-time, or real-life examples that I've worked with my customers out here, what I thought best is, why not talk about Rockwell Automation's own journey through its transformation process of how it kind of evolved, and then how today we have been able to create that difference for ourselves in the market. And the way in which we were able to do that is when we adopted the connected enterprise journey, right? So Rockwell Automation, I think to a lot of you on the call would be a very well-known name. We are in the space of automation and software, and where we kind of work together with our customers to help them achieve their operational excellence, whatever is defined as the goal or the objective for their organization's operational excellence journey. Now, while I talk more of Rockwell automation, right? All of us kind of probably know about the history of the organization, but not many of us would be aware about, we as Rockwell Automation, we have close to 20 plants across the globe, right? So, and then when we kind of looked open at these particular plants, what we really figured out is something very similar to perhaps what you guys might be seeing in your organizations today, right? So because of the very nature of our business, what we had is we had a lot of made to stock stuff, which are probably the fast running items that the customers want from us. But then there are few plants who also operate on an engineered to order kind of a mode or a configured to order kind of a mode. And because of all of these different mechanisms in which these plants operate, to add to the complexity, what we really saw is an average order that we would have had close to around 200 parts. Now, some of these parts could fall under the made to stock and perhaps would be available, but there could be a few components within the order which would be an engineered to order kind of a thing. Because of this, and not to forget, right, what we based on the life cycles of parts that we manufacture and support our customers, the average product life cycle that we are talking out here is 20 years, which is too long for us, right? So this kind of keeps adding to the parts complexity, the bill of material complexity, and because of this, what we were seeing is a lot of customers had issues when it came to probably time to delivery. So what we figured out is our lead times were very high, and there were few occasions where we couldn't even live up to those particular lead times, primarily because there was not real availability of information flow within the organization, right? So what we did is we kind of set ourselves to an operational excellence journey where we and few of the initial building blocks were to kind of standardize on the processes, standardize on the technology, so that we are able to get visibility across the organization. Once that was kind of defined, what we did is we spent some time in kind of doing an as-is analysis of all the manufacturing plants and what we heard from our customers to kind of really figure out where there are gaps in the as-is process. And not surprisingly, right, these were some of the issues that got discovered. So a lot of these issues were pointing us to systems, right? We had a whole bunch of custom applications that would run across each of the plants, probably hundreds of such customer applications running within each of these plants, which would have absolutely no sense. Probably it could be a system called as ABC, which might be running in one of my plants A, and probably a system with the same name which might be running somewhere in my other plant, but there would be absolute no similarity between those two systems. Because of these, what we actually saw is, the infrastructure that was really required to maintain those systems was eating up a lot of our bottom line, right? And even after all of these, what we really did not have is real-time visibility across what is happening. So let's say if I am the sales guy who is closer to the customer, and depending upon my commitment, I want to know what is the status of my order. That was just not available in any of the systems. And then it was more about traveling through the organizational grapevine to kind of figure out where really my order is and what would be the probable date by which it would be shipped out. And a whole lot of my energy would be wasted in kind of figuring out this rather than remaining closer to my customer and helping them in their particular need. On top of this, what we figured out is what I mentioned about the previous slides as well, right, in terms of peoples and processes. So by the very nature, the organization or Rockwell Automation as a company has evolved. A lot of our processes were kind of aligned to what you would really see in North America. But with the way in which the world is changing today, right, in order to remain competitive, remain closer to the customer, we have a lot of plants which were rolled out outside of North America, and just to kind of probably sync up with the difference in culture, which has a people angle to it, as well as the way in which probably we were to comply to some of the local government rules and processes, or probably to optimize the supply chain in that part of the world. There were a lot of tweaking that was done to the processes to kind of adapt it there, because of which we again lost the essence, which would ultimately help us have that particular visibility up at the enterprise. And then obviously the varied workforce culture, right from the skill maturity to the age of the people to the expertise that would be available with the people, both in terms of manufacturing as well as in terms of their understanding of the systems which were in place. These were some of the issues that were discovered. So as I said, what we decided is to enable a journey where standardization was one of the primary goals. How did we do that? As I said, we kind of decided to take the path to connected enterprise, and this is how we actually ended up bridging the gap between the IT and the OT, that was or the information technology at the enterprise level and the operational technology more at the plant floor level. We actually use manufacturing operations management. Now, since Rockwell has its own suite of manufacturing operations management, right? So we actually leveraged all of our own products, right from the PLCs, where we took care of the Logix platform. We standardized on Ethernet IP as our network across the enterprise, so that we are able to have seamless data exchange, at the same time manage security, because that is one critical thing which would surface as your organization takes up their journey towards the industrial Internet of Things, right? And then we used Factory Talk Production Center, which is our manufacturing operations management platform. And on top of that, we used Factory Talk Vantage Point, which is our EMI, or the reporting and the dashboarding tool, which is available from Rockwell. And all of these was hosted on a Rockwell private cloud, which we work together with Microsoft. Right, so in this, one of the key things here is, apart from using the core things which are available in-house within Rockwell, on our journey to connected enterprise, we actually partnered with a lot of our technology partners, be it Microsoft, be it Cisco, or some of the other, I would say, providers who are really required to kind of put together all the missing pieces in the overall landscape, the manufacturing IT landscape that we envisaged. And then it was all about probably trying it out at a couple of sites, tweaking the functional model that was defined to deliver, implementing it, probably following the agile life cycle, project life cycle during the course of execution. And towards the end of it, right, once we kind of were able to prove it successfully over a couple of sites, we went on through a global deployment process. Now at Rockwell Automation, this particular process started way back, maybe around 8 years back. And over the past 8 years, we have been able to successfully deploy this, not just at the pilot sites, but also roll it out to the balance of the sites. And today, almost all the 20 manufacturing sites that we have across the globe are enabled with connected enterprise. Now that we have kind of reached the destination that we had defined for ourselves, we took a step back and evaluated ourselves against the same set of matrices that we had used for putting together a business case to roll out enterprise, connected enterprise across Rockwell Automation. And these are the improvement numbers that we saw. So from a plant behavior perspective, what we really saw is our inventory levels coming down from 120 days to 82 days. Our capex, kind of reducing by 30% year on year, so that we are able to avoid any capital expenditures upfront, which ultimately helped us with the motive of achieving lower costs. From a supply chain perspective, our primary motive was getting faster time to market. And under that, the matrices that we had adopted for ourselves was delivery and lead times. We saw significant improvement in both these matrices, with the delivery ranging anywhere from the mid-80s, shooting up to a 96% on time. And the lead times also got reduced by a phenomenal 50%, right? And the last set of metrics is where what was the primary driver for us to set this particular goal and define our definition of connected enterprises to serve the customer better and thereby reduce the enterprise risk, right? So we were able to kind of improve our time to want from an 82% to 98%. Time to want is what we really define here as, it's primarily more to do with, let's say, a made to order or an engineer to order kind of the products that we are into, right? So previously, if let's say it would take 100 days to kind of complete that sales cycle, today we are able to reduce it to maybe a 30 or a 40 day cycle depending upon the product. So that's what was our definition of time to want. And in the process, what we also did is 50% reduction in parts per million from a quality perspective. So we were able to produce more consistent products and hence deliver quality products as were committed to the customer. Overall, if we were to sum it up, what we are seeing is a productivity improvement of 4 to 5% per year, and this is kind of just the beginning as we are starting to realize it. And with the kind of results that we are seeing here, I'm sure there would be a lot of future projects and future I would say milestones that we are yet to achieve in our journey of what we call as the perfect model of connected enterprise within Rockwell Automation. So with that, I kind of come towards the end of the presentation. What I've tried to do here, as I kind of set out at the beginning of this particular presentation, is I've walked you through what is operational excellence. In the middle, we kind of looked at a couple of slides where we kind of, really figured out why should you be bothered about operational excellence. And towards the end of the slide deck is where I kind of sold you the idea of how a manufacturing operational excellence or a manufacturing operations management as a technology can help glue together the people and the processes within the organization to help achieve your vision of operational excellence. And as a case study or as a proof point, I kind of walked you through our own journey as Rockwell Automation. So with that, I would kind of pass it back to Veda and probably open it up for questions. Hello? Hello? Veda, you are there? Hello? I'm sorry, I was just not sure about how do I open up the questions piece, but I'm there now. My apologies. Now I just kind of read out the questions that I think a lot of you have posted up here. So just before I kind of get down to answering each of the individual questions, right? I just wanted to thank everyone for their time, and it's really encouraging to see a lot of questions being posted out here. In the interest of time, while my attempt would be to kind of go through each of these questions and have that answered upfront, but if because of the time limitations, if we are not able to reach out to answer all of the questions, I would just request you to kind of have any of those questions addressed to us, and we would be more than happy to kind of answer those questions. So I've just shared the email address to which you can shoot out, but in the meantime I'll kind of just open up the questions and read through this. Okay, so the first question that we have here is, can you share the presentation? Well, I'm sure CII would be planning to send out some communication post this particular session, so be posted to kind of hear more from CII on it. The next question that we have is, what is the cost of the automation process? Well, this is something that I kind of hear from a lot of the participants, irrespective from whatever type of forum it is. But what I would want to again re-emphasize here is, while cost definitely is one of the driving factors on these kind of journey, it is important to know what is your as is and the to be, right? So, and the journey gap between your as is and to be, because this is what will help figure out what would be the overall cost that your organization will have to factor in when they take or when they start their journey on their operational excellence, right? That's one of the components. So it is really difficult to justify or right upfront say what would be the cost, because even from a technology perspective, let's say whether you really have the basic infrastructure on your shop floor which will enable the capturing those events which are essential for these kind of technology to function. If that is available, the next could probably be, do you really have the right kind of networking in place? Because it might be that you have PLCs which are really available for taking care of individual processes on the shop floor. Unless these kind of systems are able to talk to each other over a secured network, it's not going to serve the purpose. The next is from a so from a technology perspective, do you really have some kind of let's say a homegrown or a point solution in place? Would it really mean that we have to talk to these systems? Or from a technology maturity perspective, if it is on the verge of getting obsolete, does it really make sense to revamp that? Or are you trying to kind of look at it more from a rationalization and a standardization perspective? Would be the other perspectives. From a process perspective, the key thing is, do you really want to replicate your as-is processes into this system, or do you want to kind of improve upon those processes first and then have that replicated into the system, so that it calls for a minimum amount of let's say not really re-engineering, but kind of retweaking whatever gets implemented over a period of time. Obviously, one of the key component for you to decide what should be the technology is to figure out what is the flexibility that it offers, so that you are able to keep it abreast both with the changing processes within your organization, as well as the change in the technology landscape as you would see outside in the industry. And then from a people perspective as well, right? Do you really have an in-house core team who would be able to take care and of all your journey steps or milestones within the organization, or do you really need to partner with somebody outside? So there are a whole lot of pieces which really needs to be identified, evaluated and analyzed before we can arrive at what would be the cost of this particular process. I hope I mean I'm able to kind of make this understood when I make this particular point, right? A lot of you have been complimenting us on the journey that we have had so far, and I'm really appreciative about it. I hope that we are able to work together with you sometime where we will be able to help your organization in their own operational excellence journey, right? It says, can we have the presentation copy in a soft format? As I said, probably just wait to hear more from CII on it. Okay. The next question is, can I get the details on MESA standards? Okay, so the best starting point for you to get more insights about the MESA standard is look out for MESA, mesa.org. This is the official website of MESA, and depending upon whether you are a member or whether your organization is a member and things like that, they have different packages that they offer through which you can actually get these standards, right? So these standards are, again, a lot of these standards. So I was talking about, let's say, ISA 95, right? So ISA 95 today consists of 5 different parts, and there is a 6th part to it which is in the process of getting released. But over a period of time, what they actually do is they go back and refine each of those released standards as well. So that's where it is important that people who are interested kind of subscribe to mesa.org, and you could kind of either at your own convenience visit this website at a predefined interval, or just subscribe to their newsletter. Your company, irrespective I kind of just shared with you all the journey of Rockwell Automation, and just to kind of reiterate, right, Rockwell Automation is more than 100 years old as a company, right? So if it is applicable and very much relevant to Rockwell Automation, I'm sure it is applicable to industries and companies out there who are kind of 50 plus years old. But what it would mean is, perhaps the gap between your as-is and to-be would be much larger as compared to a gap that you would see from maybe a 20-year or a 15-year-old company in business. But so the point that I'm driving to is, it is highly critical that these companies really take some time out and relook at what is their to-be thing and do an evaluation of. It could be their own internal evaluation, or it could be through some external consulting aid that they kind of do their evaluation. But the whole point is, it's highly critical that you do this particular evaluation, and if you feel we can help you through that journey, just write into us. We would be more than happy to work with you together on this. Is it applicable to new projects or for the existing plants? This is again a very good question that I kind of hear from a lot of participants across the forums. The answer is, this is really applicable to any project, whether it is a greenfield, as you rightly said, greenfield to us is more like a new project which gets announced, or an existing plant, which is what we generally term as brownfield. The only difference out here is, again, from the experience that I have working with a varied set of customers, if you actually plan for these things in a new project or in a greenfield project, as compared to a brownfield project, the pain that your organization has to go through, primarily in terms of change management, is the substantial difference. Whether you kind of decide to take upon this journey as a brownfield or a greenfield. If it's a greenfield, it's about setting up the processes, having the right kind of technology, and employing the right kind of people upfront, and having the right kind of training courses identified upfront before all of these get into a particular operational rhythm. Once all of these three sets get into a particular set of operational rhythm, that's where it really gets challenging, and it would kind of, the challenges would increase only exponentially as you keep moving up on the time scale between a new project and a brownfield project. I hope that answers this particular question that I had. The next question we have is how cloud computing can be implemented in a fertilizer industry where it is focused more on supply chain management. Okay, so I think to answer this particular question, right, one of the key thing that I really need to understand further is what is your understanding of cloud computing, right? Because when you say how cloud computing can be implemented in a fertilizer industry where the focus is more on supply chain management, right? Probably one of the ways in which I would interpret this question is, are you saying that is it possible that for my company the supply chain systems are hosted on cloud? If that is the question, yes, that is very much a possibility. The reason being, that's exactly what we do out here as Rockwell Automation as well, right? Out here at Rockwell Automation, the journey that I kind of just shared with you guys, that's exactly what we do. So let's say a part of our business takes the help of, let's say, Salesforce, right? So Salesforce.com as a technology is what a part of our business leverages. Now Salesforce.com is hosted on cloud, right? So if that helps answer the question. The next one is, what is the purpose of this software if a customer is maintaining a robust ERP like SAP? Okay, this is one, again, common question that I hear, right? My company has already invested into SAP. Why do I really need to even listen out to what you want to talk? Well, the answer is, as I have been maintaining throughout my slide deck, right? The key essence here is real time, right? So timing is the essence, number one. Number two, granularity of the information is the essence, right? So a lot of companies or a lot of customers that I work with, if we open up what is the plant model that has been defined into an ERP, you will be surprised. At least I was when I initially saw this. What I really saw is, let's say you have a company X. If I open up company X SAP configuration for the plant model, what I really see is there are only 3 steps in their supply chain, right? The first is suppliers, second is X, and third is your customer. Now, for us to get real-time visibility into the happenings on the manufacturing shop floor, so that we are able to have effective collaboration through which we take really important decisions which will help meet whatever is being outlined as the operational excellence goal or the operational excellence journey of the organization. It is important that I get a drill down into what is really happening on the shop floor. Now, with that level of a plant model defined into your ERP, it is very unlikely that you would have this particular information, right? Number one. Number two, as I said, time is of critical essence. Generally, the kind of information that gets rolled up into SAP, or for that matter your ERP systems, would be probably consolidated on a shift basis or on a daily basis, and then probably you roll up reports into weekly, monthly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly kind of stuff, which is more to kind of have the data Number one, from a compliance perspective. Number two, from your financials perspective. But is really the intent of the data to give you this kind of real-time visibility? Absolutely not, right? So that's the other key reason why you should really be bothered about and start thinking about systems like a manufacturing operations management. The key point I'm trying to emphasize here is manufacturing operations management is not here to replace your ERP. Okay, it is only here to complement whatever you have tried to achieve by implementing your SAP or your ERP system. Okay. The next is, what exactly are the benefits from operational management? Okay, this would, as I said, this would really be critical that your organization, first of all, define what is your destination of operational excellence. Based on your definition of operational excellence, you can translate that into goals and objectives, and then you have a set of matrices which will help you, do your own internal evaluation of your progress through that particular journey. And as I said, from the LNS research slide that I published out here, I have kind of highlighted in general across the industry cross section what we really see are the key KPIs, right? So it could be KPIs across your supply chain, it could be KPIs across quality, production, efficiency, and a whole bunch of those standard sets, right? So that's what I have already shared with you as one of the slide deck here. The next question I have is, okay, what are the gaps? Okay, now this is a company specific question, so I would not really like to mention the name of the customer, but it says what are the gaps in company X as compared to whatever I have tried to show here. Okay, so here the whole idea was to kind of share whatever we have, whatever we see, we understand about operational excellence, and then share with you some proof points, both in terms of quantifying the benefits that customers or industry has achieved through the adoption of operational excellence, and how we ourselves as Rockwell Automation have achieved by embarking on a journey of operational excellence. So out here, what you might have to do is you might have to go back, probably take a step back with this kind of information available to you. Just do a self-evaluation of your own enterprise. Go back and see what is your destination, what are the journey milestones that you have identified for yourself, what is your as-is, and then across the key sets of KPIs that your management might have decided to consider for self-evaluation. Just compare it with whatever I have tried to show and share with you here, and you would be able to figure out what are the gaps there. If you need anything further and specific beyond this, we would be more than happy to talk to you and connect to you. Just drop us a note at indiamarketing@ra.rockwell.com, and we would be more than happy to reach out to you and work together with you on your journey. Right? The next question is in level 0 to level 5, that is the production process to business logistics. Where does a mathematical model to control the process exist? Well, this would, it kind of, it's a thin line between, I would say, the level 2 and level 3. Okay, depending upon what you want to achieve. So when you say a mathematical model to control the process, right? So here what you're saying is most likely you might be having something like a DCS in place, and or probably a control system, a PLC or something like that, controlling a lot of PID loops is what might be in place, right? So from a mathematical model perspective, there are again two perspectives to it, right? One is you just have a theoretical mathematical model, so probably all you need is a set of data, right, over a particular defined time interval, maybe a quarter, a half yearly, a yearly, which that time interval should be good enough to reflect the various cycles that your business goes through, because a lot of businesses are, let's say, seasonal businesses. A lot of businesses are directly impacted by let's say festivals that come across in terms of your sales and things like that. So ideally choose a data point or a data set which would be good enough to reflect and capture the entire variation across your business model, and then have that feed into, you know, probably a APC or a advanced process control kind of a module, which will then help you model your business process, and through that model you get a understanding of what are the factors that actually impact your business. If this is your goal, you have achieved it. You know, probably it could be somewhere at a level 2 or a level 3, but it hardly matters because it is more of an offline system. But after you have this mathematical model in place, if your aim is to kind of convert this and use this model to help you achieve predictive analytics, then that's a question that really has to be deeper investigated and discussed. I hope I am answering these questions. Okay. The next question is, the program was so fast that we could not note down the contents while we were listening to you. Will you send us the course notes via the email ID? Okay. As I said, you know, just wait to hear back from CII, and you know, you would be probably getting things that you want. If you don't get what you want, I've just shared our email address out here. Feel free to write back to us, and we can take it further from there. Okay. The next one is, how can these concepts be applied to a spinning mill like cars? You know, as I said, it's all about figuring out what ultimately is the operational excellence model or the operational excellence destination that your organization defines for itself. It really doesn't matter whether, you know, it's a spinning mill or it's a fertilizer company or it's a discrete manufacturing company or probably, as I said, you know, a process company. It really doesn't matter. It's all about your organization defining your definition, your destination of operational excellence, and then figuring out the journey towards it. And once you have that in place, I'm sure you would be able to appreciate that a lot of these concepts would be applicable for you as well. Okay. How can we implement MOE module for jobbing foundries? I'm really not sure what is the meaning of MOE when you mention that here. I guess it would be manufacturing operations execution, but you know, again, as I said, it's all about you figuring out what is your definition of destination, what is your definition of your journey, the milestones, and then you know, we'll be happy to work with you on your journey, right? Is there any size of operations turnover which justifies the investment in such integration project? Is there any size of operations turnover? Okay, I believe the question is, you know, is it really applicable for, you know, a company which has a turnover of more than probably 500 crores or 1,000 crores, or is it also applicable to companies which are probably, you know, under the category of small and medium enterprises? I hope that's the question, but then if that is the question, you know, the point here is it is equally applicable to a company irrespective of its size. So in terms of pointers as to where would it be applicable, I would say rather than the company size, few of the factors or few of the criterias that I can think off my head right now is, you know, whether you are in the business of innovative products getting introduced into the market so that you are able to remain competitive as compared to your competition. That could be one of the cases, irrespective of your size, right? Second, are you really bothered about improving your productivity, your effectiveness, your profitability? I'm sure every organization is, right? So if you follow steps that have been outlined here, you would surely be able to improve on your bottom lines, right? And that I think would be a good enough justification for you to start thinking of integrating the integration projects as you have outlined in your question out here, right? Do you have any questionnaire to measure the maturity of the organization for I would say a yes and a no. We do have a standard set of questionnaire that we use when we work with our customers to kind of help them achieve or to help them measure what is their as is state as compared to the to be state. But as I'm saying, right, it is important that that questions be tweaked in lines with your as is or in lines with your to be, so that you are able to effectively answer to your as is process. But yes, we do have a standard set of generic questions that we use in our engagement with the customers. So if you want to talk more about it, just write a note to us at our email address, and we can surely get in touch with you. What type of information technology advanced module do cement industries get from Rockwell, I believe? Okay, so again out here, right, we do have a lot of our customers from the cement industry, and we would be happy to reach out to you if you have any specific needs in terms of how we are helping our customers in the cement industry be more productive and be more profitable. So we can do that. Crisis management in the operations excellence. I'm not sure what really is the question, but I think it is probably towards something like, if, as I said, crisis could be either in the form of a change management, right? It's more to do with the culture. Organizational change management is something that really has to be looked upon. The second could be, what if some of the systems go down? It's all about having an FMEA in place, failure mode and effect analysis, and then having your standard SOPs or standard operational procedures in place to handle those kind of situations. But with the kind of advancements that we see in technology, high availability, virtualization, so on and so forth, I think these are not really the key questions to be worried about. The key challenges that I see a lot of my customers face is on the operational change management front, and that's where people who have been successful have been driving it from the top. So it's very important to have the top management buy-in into these kind of projects for it to be successful. The next one is, can we meet your clients and hear from them? We would be more than happy to do that. Just get in touch with us, and we can take it forward from there. In manufacturing domain, what are the leading indicators of operational excellence? As I said, right, so I've shared some of the leading indicators or KPIs, but apart from that, we do have our own set of leading indicators that we have built over a period of time working with customers from different industries and try to group them across industries. So if you are looking at specific indicators which might be more applicable to your specific industry, just feel free to write to us, and we will take it forward from there. Okay. How do we measure 5 levels of maturity of the organization? As I said, it's about having a model that you create for yourself, and then you kind of define the milestones. And across the 3 building blocks, people, process, and technology, from an operational excellence perspective, right? You kind of do that, and once you have this kind of a maturity model or a maturity model framework in place, the next step would be to kind of either have a set of cross-functional team who would do this evaluation for you, or it could be a set of external consultants who work with you through this journey, or it could be a combination of the two. But by all means, what it would really mean is, somebody who understands the process, who understands what you are trying to do, and who has an understanding of, probably traveling through a similar journey. One of the key steps that we take when we get into these kind of evaluation is also interviewing a lot of stakeholders within the organization to get the perspectives out. So if that helps you, right? The improvements shown in the performance of your automation shows 50% reduction in lead times, 120 to 82 days in inventory. Can you please tell us if you have any standards? Well, as I said, right, we were also trying to figure out if there is something available as a general industry standard. but what we figured out is it kind of varies a lot across the manufacturing industry. From our plants, right? We probably fall more under the discrete manufacturing, probably the electronics industry space, right? And that's what we try to use as benchmarks. But unfortunately, there are no absolute benchmarks which are published by, let's say, the supply chain organizations. You can go to the SCORE website. I think they have now merged it together with the EPICS, figure out some benchmarks, relative benchmarks that might be applicable for their. What we actually did is we found out who were our direct competition, and then from the data that is available both in the open market as well as through consulting firms to benchmark our competition on the KPIs that we had defined for ourselves. And then using that as a benchmark, as one of the benchmarks, and using the second benchmark as our own destination definition for our operational excellence journey, we kind of club that. And then through an internal, I would say, documented evaluation process of our SEs, we kind of we're able to figure out where we are on our journey and what would it take for us to kind of achieve the KPIs that we have outlined for ourselves. So this is effectively how we kind of figured out some of the benchmarks for the KPIs that we monitor internally within Rockwell. Right? What was the initial big concern reported from the plant for practicing this MOM, and how this has overcome? Please explain in simple terms. Okay, as I said, with the kind of I would say the kind of legacy that we had with us, being a predominantly North American based company with 100+ years of operations, right? That is one of the biggest, I would say, not really a hurdle, but that was one of the biggest challenge that was in front of the Rockwell Automation top management in terms of concerns that were getting reported. So it's about the organizational change management, if I were to put it in simple terms. But then some of the things that our top management did was to clearly define and articulate what is the meaning of operational excellence at Rockwell Automation. What is our journey to achieve that particular destination of Rockwell Automation? What is the maturity framework that we are using? And then what are the evaluation criteria using which we would do that? And then there were a lot of appreciations that we saw on the way, as and when different let's say plants or different individuals within the plants would achieve those particular milestones. So if I were to sum it up, right, this was one of the biggest concern that we saw in our process. But today, if I really look back, I think it was a good to have, because that's where it kind of helped us, bind better and strengthen the glue between the people, the process, and the technology. But as I said, the key driver was having the buy-in and the drive from the top management. What methodology will be adopted during transformation roadmap? Again, it would be probably customized for your particular organization, but in general, when you talk of a transformation roadmap, organizational change management is one of the key critical components outside of your people, process, and technology. And then when it comes to the people, process, and technology, obviously the gap between your as and to be is what is used to lay out what would be your organization's transformation roadmap. So that's how probably I would advise that you guys kind of look at it and then move ahead on your journey to your operational excellence. Do you have any exclusive MOM for textile industry? Has it been implemented, and what is the outcome? OE percentage in terms of productivity improvements or in OEE? Okay, As Rockwell Automation, what we really have is a framework or a platform, if you would like, which is called as the Factory Talk Production Center, which is the framework or the platform for us to kind of enable the manufacturing operations management for our customers. And over a period of time, we have actually, working with various customers, we have actually come up with industry-specific suites, which is where we kind of try to build in the best practices that we have learned through our implementation journey along with our customers. So this is something that is already available at Rockwell Automation, and from an OE perspective, I think we do have quite a few examples that we can share with you, which I believe is what you are looking at, right? So it's just probably drop in a note to us, and we would have the right guys from Rockwell reach out to you. How can you assist for new plant setups? Okay, in terms of this particular question, right? So as I said, Rockwell Automation is more of a automation and a information software company. So when it comes to the new plant setups, what we typically do is we engage early on with our customers and we help them standardize and define some of the basics that would really be required. Now let's take an example, right? So if the organization has a vision that they want to implement a manufacturing operations management software within the organization, as we understood and as we saw in the slides that I used, one of the key critical component is for this particular thing, to kind of get the events from the shop floor into the data collection module. Now for that, everything that you plan on a shop floor should be to integrate, to communicate with your manufacturing operations management platform. This is one aspect in which we work together with our customers. The second aspect, as I said, is on the the lifeline or the blood, the ways through which the blood would flow in the form of networking. So we do have a set of practice who works together with our customers on the networking piece of it, right? So right from defining how your networking should be, to kind of the blueprinting it, to getting down to the elements of the networking, whether it should be a managed switch, whether you need a router, whether you need a level 3 switch, or whether an unmanaged switch would do, what are the protocol standards and things like that, right? Keeping in mind the security aspect, because this is one thing that we hear a lot from our customers. While we are on this journey, how do we ensure that everything that we are doing is not going to compromise with our organization's security, right? So all of these things are taken into perspective, and we do have services that we offer when people are in the process of setting up new plants. So feel free to reach out to us, and for sure we can work with you. How to excel in operations management? Well, that's exactly what the aim was when I kind of walked you through this particular tech. So I hope now you have an answer to this particular question. Okay. How you can express the conversion cost with bill of material cost? I'm not sure I really understand this question about conversion cost to a bill of material cost. Is it more to do with the ROI or the returns on your investment or total cost of ownership perspective? If that is the case, then there are a lot of studies which are available on the internet. Few of those are purchased reports, of course, but if you go through that, what you would see is typically for organizations that have started their endeavor on the manufacturing operations journey, the typical ROI is less than a year. Okay, depending upon obviously the scale, the functionalities that you would want to achieve, but in general, if you look at a lot of those researches, the ROI for these kind of investments is less than a year. So I hope I've been able to answer that question. Ours is an engineering services company. How would MOM be helpful? Well, even in an engineering services company, right, I think one of the key aspects would be tying up the people, the process, and the technology. So the core thing still remains the same in terms of your operational excellence thing, right? And then in terms of the manufacturing operations management per se, as you have outlined in your question, manufacturing is at an overseas plant, right? So either it could be contract manufacturing or it could be your own manufacturing firm. For you to be effective in your communications, in your steps towards either your conversion or fulfilling your promises to your customer, one of the key important things for you is visibility into what is really happening either at your own plant overseas or at a plant which is one of your contract manufacturing, right? So if it is your own plant which is overseas, for sure manufacturing operations management has to be implemented there. If it is something to do with your contract manufacturing, you have to really kind of enforce the right kind of KPIs to motivate your contract manufacturer to start thinking on these lines. Okay. The next one is sounds perfect for multinationals. How to implement it in hardcore typical Indian manufacturing companies? I like that question, because this is again something that we kind of keep hearing a lot when I talk to our customers out here in India. But I really don't know how do I kind of answer that. But if I were to tell you that in the last 5 years, right? That I have been out here with Rockwell Automation, and Rockwell Automation has been closely working with customers out here in India. We have more than 20 plus success stories for Indian manufacturers. Okay, now it could be a single plant, it could be a multi-plant, with Indian owners, or it could be a multi-plant where you have foreign owners who have set up plants in India. We have case studies across all the sectors and segments which will help you if you are in the process of building your own business case, right? And yeah, I think I would leave it to that and probably wait to hear more from you on what exactly we are looking at, and we would be more than happy to work with you on helping you build your business case for your manufacturing operations journey. How is your software different from SAP? I think I just answered that, right? So it's the key essence is time, the granularity of information, right? Maintenance management is not effective with SAP. Can this be done independently and taken into SAP? That's exactly one of the key purposes of manufacturing operations management. Right, so as I outlined, manufacturing operations management would be spread across production, quality, inventory, and maintenance. So maintenance definitely is one of the core components of any manufacturing operations management software. With that said, because this is the glue that is bringing together your people, process, and technology, as part of the technology, more often than not, your MES or MOM would really need to talk to your SAP. And when you are actually doing your maintenance management, or at least a piece of it, right? I see a piece of it primarily because one of the aspects of maintenance management is also to do with your financials. Well, manufacturing operations management is for sure not supposed to be your piece of tool that will help you with your financials. SAP is best suited to do that, right? But then all the information that is required to kind of roll up information and make it meaningfully available so that you are able to relate it to your financial metrics is something that can be effectively done when you have manufacturing operations management on the shop floor and have the selective set of information roll up into your SAP. Right, so that is definitely one of the things that is achieved when you implement manufacturing operations management platform. Okay. More complex quality data right from raw material, in process, and finished products can be standalone software to address the issues and integrate it to SAP. Well, that could definitely be one of the approaches that you might want to take, right? And I know there are QMS or quality management systems which are available externally. But as you rightly said, right, it could still be a standalone system. But all it would mean is just, for a minute, close your eyes and go back to the slide where I showed you the typical manufacturing enterprise today. You are probably wanting to take a journey which would land your organization in that same state, if not today, maybe 10 years down the line. So that's one thing that you should be really thinking of. And from a quality perspective, the other pointer that I would want to leave with you is, if you look at it from a cost of quality perspective, right? I think that's where you would get your answer as to why should it not really be a standalone software which integrates to SAP, but it makes more sense to have a more holistic approach when it comes to implementing or considering manufacturing operations management. Okay. The next one I have here is how to achieve operational excellence by controlling the suppliers. Well, again, here it's all about setting the right kind of KPIs with your suppliers, and then at least having seamless information flow between your organization and the supplier relevant to those particular KPIs is what would be the key essence. And I think depending upon to what level, what is your dependency, how many suppliers, what kind of suppliers you have, whether those are dedicated suppliers, whether those suppliers also cater to your competition, and all those variation. You would have to really figure out what would be your operational excellence journey when it comes to having contract manufacturing done at your supplier premises. Okay. Is it limited to manufacturing establishments or also to serve industries and job work establishments? Well, I would say the holistic model that we discussed here might be more applicable to manufacturing establishments, but I'm sure there would be key takeaways that might be applicable for you if it is more in a job work establishment as well, right? So depending upon what exactly is the nature of the organization that you belong to, I'm sure there would be some key takeaways from you from whatever I shared with you today. Product launch is getting delayed because of poor on-time delivery. That's exactly one of the issues, but if you really drive it a little more, what you would see is it's not just the on-time delivery for dependent things coming to you from your suppliers. Perhaps it's also a poor performance on your on-time delivery to your market, and that's where probably your competition might be eating away a lot of what you might have expected to get from the market, right? And that's where MES or MOM is really the platform that can help you improve these matrices and thereby probably help you lower your frustration, if I were to put it that way, the way it sounds from your question, although I've not read it completely, but then that's how I would really want to put it across. So just feel free to write to us at india.marketing@ra.rockwell.com, and we would be happy to work with you together further on your journey to operational excellence. Thank you. I think it's about time. So I don't think I've missed out too many questions. But if I have, I would just really appreciate you guys dropping in all your notes, comments at indiamarketing@ra.rockwell.com, and we would be happy to get back in touch with you. Thanks a lot for your time and patiently hearing me for 2 hours. I really appreciate the time that you guys gave to this call. Thanks a lot.